Hello, welcome to the Snap Revise YouTube channel. I'm Amy and this video is going to be all about cram revision, what you can be doing in that week before your exam to try and boost your grade as much as possible. With such a short amount of time before your exam, 1 week isn't really enough to cover your whole specification. You need to be identifying your weaknesses within each subject so that you can address these directly. These are obviously the things that need more attention. Go through your specification and write down every single topic that you struggle with, every kind of exam question that you struggle with. Get this all compiled into one place, and this will be your starting point for revision in this week. Make sure that you also use past paper questions that you've got wrong. So go through all of the past papers that you've done and have a look at the topics that you kind of consistently are losing marks on. These go onto the list, and then once we've got everything in that one place, you want to rank all of these issues from the most important to the least important. So the things at the top of your list will be the things that will take the longest for you to work out, and the things that have been detailed in the advanced exam information, because we know that there will be marks available for this type of question. So using this list of weaknesses, we can then make a plan for the week ahead, or however much time you have between watching this video and your exam. Because you are so close to the exam, you need to use all of the available time that you have. I do think that building in rest is a good idea, but if you are really cutting it fine, then try to maximize all of that time that you have available to go over all of these topics. Revising this close to the exam, you also need to be using summaries of content. It is no good trying to plow through textbooks and looking at big chunks of text, because it's just not going to go in your brain. You're going to work much more efficiently with summaries. So looking at topic summaries that have been detailed in textbooks, your own flashcards that you've made or flashcards that you've bought, posters of topics, anything that summarizes all of that information into one place so that you're not going to spend too long reading through it. If you have topics that you really don't like and really can't seem to get a hold of on your own, then try to schedule in 15 minutes at least, or an hour with a teacher or a tutor or with a friend who really knows what they're doing, just to go through this one topic and try to clarify it in your head. This is something I would definitely recommend doing in this final week before the exam, because any help they give you will be fresh in your mind. So it's a really good idea to do this as close to the exam as you possibly can. Make sure that you leave that session feeling a lot more confident than when you went in. So if you still have questions, you need to address those either in the session or ask somebody else if that person didn't quite clear that up for you. If there's something that you always forget or something that you really can't get the process of in your head, then you might want to try out memory devices. So things like rhyming or mnemonics, just to try and help to solidify that information in your mind. Make flashcards of topics that you particularly struggle with. These can be really helpful to also look at just before you go into the exam as well, so all of that information is fresh in your head. And then another really great technique for this cram revision is blurting, or the Feynman technique, which is where you basically write down all of the information that you can recall about that topic, and then check it against the textbook or a more information dense resource to make sure that you've got all of that information within your summary. Any gaps that you've left, you can fill and really take a mental note of these gaps in particular so that you don't make that mistake in the exam. Remember, when you're answering longer questions, you need to put in as much information as you can that is obviously relevant to the question, but there might be some key things that you need to have in there. And if these key things are the types of things that you tend to miss out from your summaries when you're doing your blurting or Feynman technique, then try to put a lot of emphasis on memorizing these. So after you've had a look at summary content, you want to move on to testing yourself. And yes, testing yourself doing past paper questions is and will always be the best way of preparing for an exam. Textbooks are a really good source of topic specific questions as well as your homework. So if you have been very good with your admin and you've stored all of your homework sheets away for the year, go back through these and have a look at the answers you provided to topic questions as well as errors you made in this homework, and try and rectify these and use that as a resource in itself. So past paper questions, even if you've already completed them, are a fantastic resource for revision because they show how you answer questions and the things that you often dip out on in your responses. Any questions you got wrong can simply be done again. Even if you've written the answer, try to work back through the question to get to that correct answer. Just going through and doing the motions for different questions, especially with things like calculations or where you have to use certain formulae, that's a really great way of rectifying mistakes and kind of getting your brain into the zone for doing that in the exam paper. If you have a friend who really knows your problem area as well, you could get them to do some quick fire test questions with you. Flashcards are great for this, but if they really know the subject, they can just fire things off at you on the spot. This is a fantastic way of getting your brain to think a lot more quickly, which will serve you really well in the exam because it will save you time having to think about these things. If you test yourself with rapid fire questions, that information should also come to you rapidly in the exam. With cram revision, the key is also to stick to the plan. So whatever plan that you've made for yourself using your week topics, make sure you stick to that. 1 week of sticking to a plan isn't too much effort really. Make sure that you reward yourself as we go through it. I've talked about this in other videos, but that's really going to be key to making the difference for you in that exam. Bear in mind that although you have a start date for your exam season, so you probably have in mind the date of your very first exam, your exams are spread over multiple weeks, so you can adjust your cram revision to accommodate this. You will have more time to prepare for one subject compared to another, so when you're doing your plan, have a look at which exams you have coming up first and prioritize focusing on the difficulties within that subject before looking at ones for subjects that are going to come up in 2 or 3 weeks time. So essentially your cram revision could actually take place over 2 or 3 weeks rather than just 1 week or a few days if you're panicking in this final run up to exams. So just take each exam as it comes, deal with the topics that you need to deal with for that particular exam, and then once that's done you can clear that from your mind and focus on the next one. So all of these things are content based, but as well as doing all of your revision, cram revision and trying to get that information in, you also want to make sure that physically you're in a good place for absorbing all of this information last minute. A lot of you doing exams in 2022 won't have experienced a proper exam season, and you maybe won't understand the kind of toll that exams take on you physically and mentally. So you need to make sure that you're taking care of yourself by drinking plenty of water. Get a reusable water bottle if you don't have one already, and one that fits the specification for getting into the exam, so nothing with text on it. I think they have to be transparent. I'm not entirely sure, but you might want to check this with your school. Eat loads of brain foods. I've put all of these on screen. Have a look through and see which ones you like to snack on, and maybe try and get hold of some of these in a small pot that you can take with you to school, either to have before the exam or to have while you're revising. They do make so much difference. Another thing that you need to focus on, as well as your diet, is sleep, and sleep is so important, particularly in the exam season. A good night's sleep is going to really improve your ability to answer exam questions quickly, and also to recall all of the relevant information for that question. You need a minimum of 8 hours sleep per night, so try to make sure that you're getting that. Avoid the temptation of staying up late into the night before your exam to cram revise, and try and get as much information in as you possibly can. Cram revision does help to some degree. I know it does based on my own exam experience, but if that's going to eat into your sleeping time, then I think you should just cut your losses. Use some flashcards just before the exam. Don't take up time spent sleeping because it really isn't worth it. Remember, if you're tired, this will affect your ability to answer each and every single question in the exam paper. If you don't know a certain topic, that will only affect one question or a small series of questions, if at all, because that topic might not even come up. So just, cut your losses, get a good night's sleep, and try not to leave things to the point where you feel like you have to stay up the night before to get ready for the exam. Hopefully all of these tips help you for that final week before exams, or the final few days, however much time you've left for a bit of cram revision. I do think that it can help, but make sure that you are getting all of that sleep, you're looking after yourself, getting enough water, eating a good diet. All of that contributes to better exam performance. So good luck with exams. I really hope that they go well for you. If you want to stay up to date with the Snap Revise YouTube channel, keep up to date with all of our uploads and advice videos like this one, then you can subscribe to us just here. A video if you're doing A-Level biology that you might want to have a look at next would be this one just here, which talks about all of the mistakes that you should try to avoid making in your biology exam. Thank you again for watching, and I hope to see you here on the Snap Revise YouTube channel again soon.